Good. So last time we learned about the this week's Haftorah, which says Nachmu Nachmu, and means comfort, comfort. And the Rebbe explained that after the destruction of the second temple, that God will promises us. This is the prophet Isaiah. Isaiah prophesied the destruction of the first temple, the second temple, and now he's prophesying the third temple, and he's saying that the third temple will be a double comfort for the destruction of the first and the second temple. And the Rebbe explained when it says double, it means an unlimited number. Double means doubled and redoubled. Does it say a number? Whatever number you say, pick a number from 1 to 10, 10, 20. Now double it. Now double it. Not double it. Double, 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 double. No matter what it is, just keep doubling it. There's no end. Right? There's no end to that. So that's what he meant, Nachmu, Nachmu. You're going to get a infinitely doubled reward for what's going to be the infinite double, the third temple. So the Rebbe said, what's the third temple? The third temple is going to have the advantages of the first temple, namely that it's revelation of God from above to below. It's going to have the advantage of the second temple, that it's going to be the work of the Jewish people from below to above, like the first tablets and the second tablets. But the third temple is going to be a combination of all of them, that there'll be this tremendous revelation from God from above to below, God, but we'll be able to accept it from below to above. It'll be part of our day-to-day life. So it says, it's going to be a tremendous, what's called a tremendous unity, a unification, yichud nifla, an amazing unity. If that's caused now by learning Torah, there's a 5th chapter that Tanya talks about. It's an unlimited revelation of godliness. What this means, we have no idea what it means nowadays. No idea what it means. But it's going to be for sure pure godliness revealed in the world. It happened when God created the world, before Adam ate from the tree. It happened again when God gave the Torah. Pure revelation of the Creator and the purpose of the Creator in the creation. And that'll be revealed in the third temple, and it'll be together to the degree there won't be any death. All the past, bad things in the past will be, the bad things of the past will be totally erased. How this will be, I don't know, but it's going to be. Alder says similarly, the request of Moses that he wanted to come into the land of Israel. Moses wanted to come into the land of Israel. That's how this week's Torah portion begins. Moses is beseeching God, please, God, let me come to the land of Israel. I'll do anything you want to. Let me come. And God refuses. So that seems to be the opposite of the Haftorah. The Haftorah is the big rewards we're going to, receive. That's the Haftorah. And the Haftorah is usually similar to the topic of at least some topic that's in this week's Torah portion. And it seems that it's not similar at all. Not only is it not similar, it's the opposite. Nachmu means that God will give us, or comfort us. And ve'etchanan means that God refused to comfort Moses. Moses begged, please let me into the land of Israel. It says over 500 prayers he prayed to God, let me in, and God didn't let him in. So how is it similar? Me'atamim, for one of the reasons. Good morning. Okay, good. One of the reasons. Yes. Good. One of the reasons. Good. Are you here? Good. Good. Okay, good. Okay, so we're asking a question now. Usually the Haftorah, the part of usually the prophets, whatever that's read, after the Torah reading on Shabbat, after we finish reading the Torah on Shabbat, then someone is called up to read a small portion called the Haftorah. This usually comes from the prophets. Now, in these weeks, it comes from Isaiah. And it usually is the same topic as the Torah portion. Here, it seems to be the opposite of the Torah portion. The Torah portion is talking about how Moses, ve'etchanan, he begged God to come into the land of Israel, and God did not answer his prayers. And the Haftorah, Nachmu Nacho, is how God is going to answer all of our prayers. He's going to comfort us, infinitely cheer us up for all of the pain and the suffering we've done for all these thousands of years. So it's exactly the opposite. Et Hanan is God is refusing to answer Moses, and Nachmu is that God is yes answering all of our problems. So how is it similar? It says Yesh Lomo, we can say Shabba'ofen. Alder says similar. We can also explain the connection between going into the land of Israel and the beginning, going in the land of Israel in the beginning of Parshat Et Hanan. One of the reasons that the request of Moses was not answered, why God refused to let Moses come into the land of Israel, and he refused to answer his 515 prayers, like Vayomer Hashem Elai Al Tavor Lo Tavor Et Yarden Hazeh. You're not going to go into the Jordan. You're not going to cross over the Jordan River. Take Joshua. Hu Yanchil Et Oretz. Joshua, Yoshua, he'll conquer the land of Israel. And even though if the Jews would have come into Israel by means of Moses, it would have been in a tremendously high way, a tremendously elevated way. And if Moses would have come into the land of Israel, he would have built the third temple. There wouldn't have been a third temple. He would have built the temple and it would have been eternal. But in fact, it happened by means of Joshua. If it would have been Moses, it would have been a Geula, Nitzchitz, it would have been an eternal redemption. There wouldn't have been an after exile. There wouldn't have been, and think of it, if Moses would have come into the land of Israel, there wouldn't have been the first temple, the second destruction. Millions, the Rebbe said that more people were killed, certainly a greater percentage of the Jewish people were killed and in the destruction of the first temple and the second temple than in the Holocaust. And for sure, the Jewish people suffered more directly. In the Holocaust, only 1/3 of the Jews were directly affected. There were Jews who lived in America, Jews who lived in Canada and wherever, in South America, Jews in Russia, right? The Holocaust was directly the Jews that were in Europe. Only 1/3 of the Jews were really affected. 1/3, half of the Jews, whatever. But when the first temple was destroyed, all the Jews were affected. The second was, so if Moses would have come into the land of Israel, all of that pain and suffering and death and destruction and heartbreak would have been avoided. But instead, God did not let Moses in, and it was by Moses. And there's something good about this. There's something good, better, an advantage by going into the land of Israel by means of Joshua. What could possibly be the advantage of all the Holocaust? We'll see. The explanation is like this: that the conquering and the dividing of the land of Israel by means of Joshua is mitzad tachton, is from us. If Moses would have gone in, God would have done the whole thing himself. But because Joshua went in, so Joshua did everything, and God helped him. Kamudgash, like the kivush v'chalukat b'meshech riboy zaman. The conquering of Israel took 7 years, and dividing it up, settling all the tribes in each one of his places, that's another 7 years. 7 years to conquer and 7 years to divide up the land. And afterwards, even after Joshua died, there were still parts of the land of Israel that still they did not conquer. Like it says in the beginning, like in the book of Shoftim, of Judges. After Joshua died, the Yishalu b'nei Israel, the Jewish people, asked God, and they said, Mi yalelanu, who is going to fight against the Canaani and to fight against them? And God said, Vayomer Hashem, Yehuda Yaleh, the tribe of Joshua, of Yehuda, what is that? Judah. That's good. Yehuda. They will go. Vayomer Yehuda l'Shimon. And Yehuda said to the tribe of Shimon, his brother, come to me and we'll fight against the Canaanim. And the tribe of Shimon was right next to Yehuda. Kevin Shabiru Ratachton, because the whole battles had to be done by means of the Jews. A long time they had to fight. And amazingly, usually in their battles, nobody died. If someone died and the Jews died, they knew something was wrong. Right? They would make these big battles that was hand-to-hand combat. I mean, they weren't messing around over there. You couldn't just, hide behind a tree and shoot people. You had to really see the guy face to face, and you had to stab him. He was trying to stab you also, right? You understand? That was face to face, but they had to fight. If Moses would have come in, they wouldn't have had to fight these battles. Said the Rebbe, there's something good about fighting. What's good? That we're doing it. We're refining the world on our own. We can meet opposition. If Moses would have done it, then the Jewish people, they never experienced opposition. They wouldn't know what opposition was. Okay. Maybe there wouldn't be any opposition, but still that inner power which is aroused when there is opposition, it would have never been revealed. Never been revealed. And even more. Even after the conquering and the dividing of the land of Israel the first time, the Jewish people, they were exiled from the land of Israel. Not only exiled into Babylon for 70 years, even now the exile that we're in now, the last exile, that's almost 2,000 years. The kavanah, the intention in this is kadei levarer, in order to refine hanitzutzos, the sparks of holiness, the sparks of life, which are in exile. Like the rabbis say, lo higla, the Kodesh Baruch Hu, God did not exile the Jews among the non-Jews. He didn't do it other than the only reason he did it was kadei sheyatosvu lehem gerim, in order to add to them converts. This is not talking about human converts. This is talking about nitzutzos, the sparks of holiness, and sometimes it's in human beings also, human converts also, but not just to convert people. Judaism does not look for converts, but Judaism does look for people that want to convert. What does it mean? According to Judaism, a Jewish convert, is a person that always was a Jew. He always had a Jewish soul, but his body was not Jewish. And so he had to go through a process in order to refine the body, right? Mainly going to the mikveh, that's the main thing. But men have to make a circumcision. Women don't have to make a circumcision, obviously, but just going to the mikveh is enough, and receiving on themselves the commandments. So that fixes up the body. Well, that's the way it is in everything in the world. Everything in the world has godliness in it that's waiting to be revealed. Our job is just to fix up the body. We have to use the world in a proper way. And the world, of course, is screaming out and trying to convince us that it's the boss and we should just go along with the world, right? The world will give us pleasures and rewards and things like that. Or should we use the world the way that God wants? That's the idea of refining, fixing up the body of the world. You do it like it's known, to make outside of Israel into the land of Israel. It says that in the future, by Moshiach, that the land of Israel will spread out to the whole world. What does it mean to spread out? That we'll conquer everybody? Everybody's going to speak Hebrew? No. It means that everyone will recognize the Creator. There's only one God. That's the God of Israel. The God of Israel is creating the whole world, and God of Israel gave the Torah, and everyone will recognize it. That's what it means, Hashem Echad, when we say in Shema Yisrael. And by means of our deeds, all the time of exile, the Biru Tachton, refining the world, is by means of this, all of the Jews in the world, which are scattered around the world, they will come into the land of Israel in a true redemption. As the then going into the land of Israel will be ultimate completion on these, with both of the good qualities, namely what? Moshe, his thing is bringing God from above to below, and Joshua, that his thing is bringing God from below to above, together. That will be the quality of Mashiach. Geula Nitzchis, an eternal redemption, that there is not after it any exile. Also from below. When we move on from this, we can understand that in Parshat Etchanan it is stressed the quality of going into the land of Israel in a complete way. Not just by means of Moses as it was, and also the Mila of, Lo Hayata, that it wasn't by means of Moshe, not going into the land of Israel by Moses, which that would have been just miracles from God, and we wouldn't have had to do almost anything. But Gam, not by means of Moses going into the land of Israel, but why by Joshua? So that it will also be Gam, a Mila, that by means of Yeshua. Namely, in a way that's unlimited. B'li Gavul, that's Nachmu, a doubled redemption, a doubled cheering up by God. Nachmu a revelation of good doubled and redoubled and redoubled. So in other words, it's the same topic. Nachamu, Nachamu means that God will comfort us doubled. And why will he do it? Because we did the work on our own, and he'll unify both of them together. God's blessing from above, and our making a vessel for that blessing from below. That's Joshua. If Joshua would have gone to the land of Israel, there wouldn't have been this thing of our making the vessel from below. Kalmor, like we said before, Shemitzad, Hedra, Gabala, because there is no limitation in God's blessing, so therefore there will be completion in everything that there is, in every detail of the world, in every detail of life. Ubapasha, simply speaking, Shehakanisa, the Oretz, coming into the land of Israel and conquering and inheriting the earth, taking over the earth, is Tekef Umiyad, it will be immediate. B'shlemut Azman, immediate in time. B'nogea l'kol ha'oretz kulo, in regard to the whole entire world, Shlemut Amakom. Lo rak eretz sheva umot, not just the land of the 7 nations that Joshua conquered, but also the Kini and the Kenizi and the Kadmoni, the other 3 lands that God promised to Abraham. God promised Abraham 10 lands. You can look over there. It's listed. We didn't get all 10. We only got 7. We'll get the land of the 10 nations in a way of call Yoshveh Alel, that on all of the Jewish people will live on it. And this will happen not by means of war. The nations will willfully give themselves over to the rulership of the Jewish people. But the Jewish people won't be like it is now. It won't be a government of just regular people, or at least people, Jews trying to act like regular people. It'll be a government of Moshiach. The government will be the government of the Creator. Shlemut b'nefesh. Again, we have to remember the Jewish people, all the things that it says in the Gospels, that there's this person called the Son of God, and he did, etc., like that. That's really, how do you call it? A thievery. It's an embezzlement. What do you call it? The fact of the matter is, there is a Son of God, and it's the Jewish people. And the Jewish people, they're the ones that are going to save the world. The Jewish people, they're the ones that are going to bring salvation to the world. Not to bring everybody into heaven like that other religion says. Not that heaven is not a concern. The Jewish people, they are the sons of God. They are the representatives of God. They are God in this world. They are the ones that are going to teach the whole entire world that God is creating them. That God wants to benefit everyone. That God wants a perfect world. Now the world is working, like they say, people use only 1% of their mind, whatever, right? People use 1% of their mind. They use 0.0000001% of their soul. The Moshiach will teach everybody to use 100% of their mind and 100% of their soul. That's what it means. Shlemut b'nefesh. That's what the Jewish people, Shekol b'nei Israel, all of the Jewish people, including all of the Jewish people and all of the generations, they will all return to the land of Israel and settle the land of Israel in a way that is permanent, nitzchi, forever, la'ad olam yamin, forever and ever. So therefore, that's what we said before, that on Shabbat Nachman, let's just swear how this further goes. That's what we said before, that on Shabbat Nachmu, it is stressed the unlimitedness, the infinity of the future redemption. How every potential, good potential for good is going to be revealed in every single creation. And can you just imagine if the potential of the land, the deserts, was revealed? So all of the deserts would become fertile land. So there would be food for everyone. There would be room for everyone. But there wouldn't be any arguments about income or food or health. Right? In America now, they're revealing all the unhealthy ingredients that are being put into food in order to make it tasty and to sell good and to sell good. Well, there won't be any of that anymore. There won't be. When things are healthy, then people will live longer. Eventually, people will live forever. That was the way it was supposed to be with Adam. And no one will be bored. Every second will be interesting, alive, happy. You'll be happy to see another person. Every second will be a surprise. This is a special, says the Rebbe, especially now that the the Shabbat Nachamu, it comes after the preparation of Erev Shabbat. By the Rebbe, Shabbat. And Erev Shabbat was the 15th day of Av. By the Rebbe, it was 15th day of Av. By us, if I'm not mistaken, the 15th day of Av is this Shabbat. This Shabbat is 15th day of Av. By the Rebbe in 1991, it happened to be that the 15th day of Av was on Friday. But by us, the 15th day of Av is going to be on Shabbat. Okay, so we have to sort of adjust what the Rebbe is saying to fit it. What do we say here? But if it happened back then to the Rebbe, it means it was revealed in the world, so it still is here now. So it says this, the 15th day of Av, it says there's a Mishnah in Tainit. It says there were no happy holidays to the Jewish people more than Yom Kippur and the 15th day of Av. Yom Kippur, because all the Jews got forgiven. And the 15th day of Av, because the moon was full. This is the moon is full every month. That's in Jewish calendar, the 15th day of every month, the moon is full. The Jewish people go according to the moon. It says here, let's explain what this means. Shalom is this hints at the completion of the Jewish people, that the Jewish people, they count according to the moon. And the Jewish people are like the moon. They get bigger, smaller, shine more. The Jewish people are going to renew like the moon. The Geula Mitit Shlema in the future redemption by means of David Malchut Moshiach, by means of King David, that he's relevant to the moon. The 15th day of the month of Av, Menachem Av, it's called Menachem Av, comforting the month of Av. And the comfort comes before the month of Av. Shleimu Tachodesh, this means the completion, the wholesomeness, the total good of this month, which is called on the name of the Moshiach. What's the name of the Moshiach? Menachem. The name of the Moshiach is Menachem Shemu. It says in the Gemara in Sanhedrin. Let's see what it says over here. Sanhedrin. Right? There's a whole page, a couple pages over there about Moshiach. It says the name of the Moshiach is going to be Menachem. V'leidato, and his birth in this month. When the moon is full on the 15th day of the month, then we know certainly that Mashiach is born. It says the Mashiach, the birthday of the Mashiach is the 9th day of Av. On the 5th day of Av, then we know for sure it's Mashiach was born. I'll explain this to you. Chodesh HaMazal, because this month is the month of the Aryeh, is Leo, the month of the lion. Shabo Yabo Aryeh, it says that the first temple was destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar, was called a lion. And the first temple is also shaped like a lion. It was big, a little bit bigger in the front than in the back. So it was like a lion. So it says there will come the lion who is in the month of the lion and destroy the lion. That's Nebuchadnezzar will come and destroy the holy temple in the month of Av. It says in order that there will come the lion, that's God, and he will build the lion, that's the holy temple, in the month of the lion, that's this month, the month of Av. Ubafran, and especially when it falls on Yom Shishi, by us we have to say in Shabbat. Yom Shishi, that's the day that man was created. By us we could say that's the day that the world was created. Finished. First man was created on Friday in order that he should come to a full world. This is hinted at on the 6th millennium, that everything is ready for the meal of Leviathan and Shorabor. It says there's going to be this huge fish and this huge ox. It's going to be spiritual, but it's going to be physical. On the day that's Kula Shabbat, it's going to be totally Shabbat and rest forever. So let me just say one thing. And what happened on the 15th day of Av? A lot of things happened, but one thing happened like this. The Jewish people in the desert, they refused to go into the land of Israel. They all refused. So we're not going to the land of Israel. They refused. This is too difficult. That was the thing with the spies. This happened like about a year after they got out of Egypt. They were right at the border of Israel and they said, let's go in. And they sent in spies. The spies came back and said, don't go in. It's dangerous. And all the Jewish people said, we're not going in. So God said, okay, they don't want to go in, so they won't go in. First of all, God wanted to destroy everybody. And he said, I'll make you a new nation. And Moses said, no. God said, okay, I won't destroy them. But they're not going to go into the land of Israel. They didn't want to go in. They're not going to go in. They'll wander around the desert. And on this date, 9th of Av, every year people will die. So it says everyone who reached the age of 60, or at least thought they reached the age of 60, I guess they didn't know exactly. So they would go into the desert, they would dig graves, they would open graves, they would lay in the grave, and they would wait there. They would wait there. And usually the next day, they'd come out and they found all these people died. That's how it went. And every year people would die. For the 40 years they were in the desert. Came the last year, and people went out into the desert that were 60 years old, at least they thought they were 60 years old, and they dug they dug graves, and they laid down, and the next morning they woke up. They were alive. So they said, listen, maybe we made a mistake in the calculation of the month. Here, eat something and lay down there for them. So they laid in the grave for another day and another day. Finally, when it came to the 15th day of the month, they looked, they saw the moon is full, and they knew we didn't make a mistake. The 9th day of the month, when we're supposed to have died, the moon is definitely not full. Now it's full, so it's a sign that there's no more decree. Decree is finished. No many people are going to die. That was the 15th of the month of. So on the 15th of the month of Av was revealed that the decree had been rescinded, that there was no more decree. So they revealed that 9th day of Av, which had been, 6 days earlier, really ended the decree. So it ended up that on the 15th day of Av, it was revealed. That's what was revealed, the big miracle, the big good news, that the decree of dying in the desert had stopped. So that's the same thing is that that's what it means. The moon is full. So Shlemus Lavana, is that where we are? No, we can also say that this idea, the 15th day of this is hinting at an infinite revelation of the future redemption that will be and also will be in this. I'm sorry. This stresses the infinite, the doubled and redoubled, and the redemption in the future redemption, Shemit Pateh, which is expressed in the true completion of every physical thing in the world together. In other words, the world won't stop. The world will be exactly the way it is, but it'll just be a perfect world. What does it mean, a perfect world? Just like the moon. When the moon is full, so it says the 15th day above, the completion of the moon is because it receives light from the sun. Until it completely receives the ultimate full light of the sun, this joins two things together. The moon and the sun are joined together. That's when the moon is full. And in the future, it says that the light of the moon will be equal to the light of the sun. That's what it was in the creation of the world. On the 4th day, God created them equal. That's the idea of the 15th day of Av. That's the day that Moshiach was born. Moshiach was born after the destruction. It says that there was a farmer farming, and he heard a cow moo, and he asked the rabbi, what is that? He said, that means the temple has been destroyed. And then he heard the cow moo again, and he said, what is that? An unusual mooing of a cow, tremendously loud. What's that? He said, that is the Mashiach was born. Like it says in the Midrash Chazal, it says, when the cow mooed once, is the temple was destroyed. And when it mooed, Hagata, Parato, when his cow mooed the second time, he knew the Mashiach was born. Below order, not only that, Ella, but Shagam Achreishan Asa Gadol, even after one minute. Oh, I got good. The Mashiach was born. That was when the Mashiach was born. And not only that, even after the Mashiach was already grown, Kol Alam Yuchad, including also being grown and matured spiritually, Mishich Mulamayla Gavo Makol Am, says by King Saul that he was higher than all the people. That's a king. They're supposed to be higher than everybody else in mind and spirit and soul. And all the laws of a king, how much more so we're talking about the Melech HaMashiach. He's going to be a king. He's going to be a teacher. This is all drawn from Nimshach HaChorban, this is the continuation. This is drawn after the destruction and the exile. It took a long time. The Moshiach has been maturing a long time. He's already 2,000 years old. And that's really mature. That it's so long that the intention is that there should be a total and complete redemption of the Jewish people from above and from below, both of them together. And that's what it means that now we are all prepared for this meal. Mashiach was born at Tisha B'Av back then in the destruction of the first temple. The destruction of the first temple, that was like 2,700 years ago, something like that. How long ago was it? 2,000, something like that. Sheshlemos Asuda, that the completion of this meal of the day that, 2,500 years ago. That's right, 2,500 years ago. That the destruction of it took so long in order that the Mashiach should develop and that he should be more mature, more complete. This, and also the world should be ready to receive such an amazing revelation of the Creator in the creation. And that's the whole idea of the future meal, which is going to be on Yom Shabbat this year, Tu B'Av, which is the completion of the moon, falls on Shabbat. This is the preparation of Yom Shishi. B'Kol Prati and Yanim, this is unlimited revelation of God. And the world will be in an unlimited revelation of man and the world. Like it's expressed in that on Friday, when God finished everything he made, it says, Ki Tov, it was Tov, and it even says more, it was Tov Ma'od, it was very good on the sixth day of creation. So that and much more is what is waiting for us now, this coming Shabbat, which will be the 15th day of Av, the results of the terrible delay that Mashiach has taken. We'll see that it wasn't a delay, it was all just a preparation of a maturity of the Mashiach to change the entire world, as we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow.